Alright, it's been a while guys, but Ravenbound has just come out with another patch, and so this is patch 1.2, which has changed the combat, the cards, added a couple of extra world bosses, and so Pixel and I have, well, more or less decided to go head to head again because it was a bit of fun last time and see who can get the world record fastest time. So what I'll talk through what I've done for this run, and then we'll see if we can't beat the time as we go. So a lot of the weapon cards had been changed in this patch, and so they've made them more in line with what the hammers, when the hammers DLC came out, how they had a lot more intuitive active abilities where there was more to do, and so that's led to a lot of cards being introduced that actually synergize really well together. And so what I've done is tried to come up with some good synergy to see what can't be done to lower the time to beat the game, I guess. So what I'm doing here is I reset until I had this specific weapon, the arcane readout of the arcane. I don't know. Yeah, readout of arcane curse, which gives me 5 extra damage per unspent mana, which doesn't sound like a lot until you start to really stack mana, and then you pair that with the death of 1,000 cuts and stuff like that, where you're getting extra multi-strike, and if you multi-strike that up, plus playing as the similar folk, I think that's what they call them. Anyway, the characters of the deer, where their passive now grants 2 mana per drained card. So that's something that's a little bit different. They have lowered the mana that you get from things like tiers, but there are a significant number of additional mana chests now. So what I first did is I reset until I got what I wanted, for one, and then I've done gone to the double mana tier, not tier, what would that be called? Shrine, and that's the one that we used to use in order to get luck, but for the purpose of this build where you want to be stacking mana, using it to give me double mana on the first mana chest that I end up using. And so I try go down that pathway. There are a number of other weapons I tried earlier on. There was one in particular that appeared like it was going to scale well. It was a longsword where every chest you open you get 15 extra damage, which sounds good in theory, but what I have found is that a lot of the builds will scale really well early, but then they don't continue to scale well as you progress the build. In particular, against the last world boss, I find him to be an absolute pain to deal with. Not so much in this run, but in previous runs I had some sub 20 runs close to completion and lost them at that one spot. So here I elected again to go with Foresight a couple of times in the hope to pick up some additional blessed mana, because taking the mana card for just 2 didn't seem really worthwhile. And there I almost go back to the boss without remembering I'm supposed to fight the witch first. But a lot of the things, some of the things that have changed in this patch is the money required for a lot of things has increased, which has meant that it's a little trickier doing some of the original builds that we had gone with. I'm not sure. Lucky Sword might still be the best weapon, but I'm not convinced without the damage from the stagger. The Great Weapon Master perk was the real bonus from that. But some of the other changes they've made is that you've now got 2 dodges maximum, unless you're in surge, unless you're surging, which is a little tricky. It's definitely something that takes a little bit to get used to, because it used to be that you could just dodge all you wanted and then just become a Beyblade if you were using the twin swords. But that's no longer the case. I think they're trying to make it a little bit more, rather than just spanking and tanking. It's just, I think they're trying to make it more skill based, or attempting to make it more skill based. But overall, if you've got more offense, you don't need defense, as you'll see throughout this run, that if you have a strong weapon, it doesn't really matter how much you get hit, within reason. As you can see there, a fat lot of critical hits happened. I've tried out a few different traits to try and make it a little bit easier, but I found that the death of 1,000 cuts is just too strong not to always run. What you can try to do there is knock over both right at once, and then it saves a little bit of time. The addition of those extra chests are really good for speedrunning. It adds a lot of the RNG elements to the run, as you'll see when I get to the end of this warden, the Dust Warden. I pick up 2 very good cards that actually carry the rest of the run, and it's the synergy between those cards and the weapon that I've got that really make this run the best that I've done so far in a couple of hours that the patch has been live for. This is one of the new bosses. If you haven't checked out the animation on how they created it with Niffin, you should definitely do that. I have a link for that one in the bottom, because that's just, it was very entertaining to watch how Niffin does the animating during the motion capture with his body, and even the way he gets into the characters. But yeah, we'll have a look at that one. It'll be linked underneath. But yeah, this boss, they want you to try and avoid being close to it, but as you can see, if you do enough dodging, you don't have to be too worried anyway. Here I just take the multi-strike. The changes to some of the multi-strike cards are a little, not disappointing, but it makes sense, because multi-strike is one of the strongest stats in the game. But here again, because I'm close to a Blessed Mana card, make sure I pick that up on my way to a secondary tier, because the aim of this build is purely stack mana. I was watching Pixel earlier as he did a rebuild, as he's going through trying to re-level up, which I could not be bothered to do personally, but I suppose he wants to see what the game's like now from a fresh perspective. But yeah, so having a look at what he was doing, and he was seeing mana chests and then being like, oh no, let's not grab them. Whereas for this build, you actually want the mana chests. If there's not mana chests, you don't actually want to pick them up at all, because it's just wasted time. But as you can see, just the unspent mana damage is massive, even at just 5 per unspent mana. So I don't know how they could fix that, make mana harder to come by, but that wrecks other people's gameplay, I guess. So we'll see. I wouldn't bother nerfing this, but it's also the fastest way I've found to speedrun so far. But yeah, so again, because I've got that blessed mana, I want to try and pick up a good mana, like a 3 or 4 mana mana card, so that it becomes 6 or 8. And then continuing to hunt down things like... Oh no, I was hoping it was going to come out. But there's one that increases magic potency, which is a new way that they've spoken about it. Oh no, I just played it. Okay, I'm like, I didn't bother wasting my other bits. But yeah, they've done... they've called it all the elemental damage magic damage now. And so there's a few items that that make magic damage stronger. And so if you can get a couple of those items, which I'm hoping one comes up in a moment. No, it comes up soon. But some of those items, if they come up, can really increase your ability to not play well, but I suppose just to stack your weapons. They've increased the price on a lot of things as well, so that's why at the start I quickly did the first quest. So I made sure I had the weapon that I wanted, and then did the first quest so I had exactly the right amount of gold. Well, provided I got 1 gold from an urn, which should happen fairly easily. But yeah, some other changes that they made. You got the dodge. It's much easier to get a surge now. So a surge build is quite viable. There are a lot of really good builds now that are viable for just enjoyment purposes, as far as like trying to beat the game with different builds. However, again, I still think the core element of why keep playing is still yet to be addressed, and I'm hoping that eventually something along those lines comes out. I'll keep playing, but I like to do the speedrun part, but that's not everybody's cup of tea. So outside of speedrunning, there's not much reason once you beat the Betrayer a couple of times to keep doing it. I failed that one there. But here, the Stupor Shell. That's the one you want. Magic potency increases 200% of weapon damage. And then I got this one as well, the Forgotten Sheath. Increased by 200%. So all that damage I've been stacking up is now increased 200% on top of another potentially 200%. I don't know. I haven't done the math. I'll leave that part to Pixel. He likes to do math. I teach math. I don't like doing math outside of teaching it. What's the point? No, actually that's a lie. I love math, but I didn't feel like doing the math for exactly what it's going to be. But yeah. So now you've got the Troll world boss, which is same as he always has been. Again, he used to be the run killer, but now it's really the I don't know, the human world boss, cultist. I don't know, he's got a big hammer. You'll see him shortly. But again, all that increased damage is really just pumped it up. And then Hilt of the Stolen Blade, that's another good one. So that's like 78% increased magic potency damage. So again, that's also really helpful. One thing that really helped this run was picking up those relic unlocks early. So it meant that I could add extra relics. Because the increased cost of the relics is, I think, a little bit exorbitant. But it starts at 59. I think it goes 59, 89, 119, 159, and just goes up by 30 per relic slot. And so for the last relic slot, you're looking at 259 gold, I think, to purchase it, which is fine if you're doing a slow run. But if you're going for speed, you're not going to spend the time to do that. They did appear to change one of the mechanics where you could, as you can see, it's doing 1,000 damage each proc, or 2,000 when it gets a crit, which is ridiculous. But yes, so they changed a mechanic where you used to be able to like slide, jump, and then throw your talon, your hook out, but that seems to have disappeared. And so unless you're playing as the wolf class or the Ulver, you're not actually able to jump. Well, I'm not able to jump that gap consistently enough to make it worthwhile to try. I think you can jump it, I just fail it more often than I can be bothered wasting the time for. But here you've got the last world boss, so this is the human one, which is another of the additions. I think this one's probably the more difficult out of the two, as he moves about and jumps about, similar to the Souls boss. And I don't like bosses that move. I like them just to stand still, so I can just do the I don't know, the little dodgies and then just get past. But again, thanks to the Stupor Shell and the Forgotten Sheath, it's made this significantly easier. In previous runs where I don't have those, this can be a significantly harder fight. But even if I didn't actually get hit that time, I think it was probably the run beforehand where I got almost destroyed and then left with only a little bit of health. But here I just use the last bits that I've got. So I've got 50 mana, so that would be 250 extra damage. But then you add on the 200%, the extra 78%, the other 200% of whatever my weapon damage is, and then you tack on surge bonuses, frenzy bonuses, multi-strike, and that's where you get all this damage, or this increased damage from, which has made it able to be beaten within or under the 20 minutes. Obviously, if you did the Sky Boss last, maybe you would have a higher chance of those items. I'm not sure. I think the going around the different wardens may be a way of improving times, or just praying to RNGs. I'm not 100% sure at this point on where to go to beat the time. I did, like I say, muck around with a few different things. I did try the swordsman perk, but that, because I'm after one specific weapon, it gave me a 1 in like 30, no, a 2 in 38 chance with swordsman perk, versus a 2 in 13 to get it regularly playing with sword and shield. And so I'll take my consistency over rerunning and resetting 20 times just to get one run. As it is, that's, yeah. But no, that's the run. So we'll see what can't be done. I know that Pixel and I last time took a little bit to get down to the 20, the sub 20, but it's been done significantly quicker this time. But I'm sure we'll both go back and forward trying to come up with a way. Maybe Lucky Sword is the best choice. I'm not convinced, but I might give Lucky Sword another shot at some point. Yeah, that's the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in another one. Like, comment, subscribe, or don't. Not your mum.